All right, guys, I'm working on a 2004 Dodge Ram 1500. It's a 4x4 with the 5.7 Hemi, and I'm going to be putting in a new oil pan gasket set. Go ahead and show you guys that real fast. This is what it came with. You can see it has a pretty nice seal, so you actually don't need to use any of the sealant. This kit did come with some sealant, so if you put any kinks or nicks in your oil pan, then you're going to need to use that. But this seal is fine. It also came with the little pump seal for the oil pump, and it also came with these snap-ups, and it has instructions on how to put that on there. So I'm going to put it on the corners. It's going to hold this up in there, and you can get your oil pan up in there, and then you can get your bolts on there. So I'm going to be using that. I'm going to flip this thing over, show you what I got. I'm also going to leave this in the link in the description. I got this on Amazon. Right, I started having some oil issues with the truck when I started pulling a dump trailer. I think that extra weight that I'm pulling is putting a lot of pressure on the oil and oil pan seal, and plus it's probably already old and kind of deteriorated, so it probably pushed a little bit out, so now I'm getting a leak. And I'm also having the trans light come on. So I'm also going to be putting a trans cooler on, not in this video, but I'll be putting that on as well. And at first I thought maybe it was the oil filter, so that's the first thing you want to check and make sure you don't have a leaky oil filter. But since then it's been tight the whole time, but I'm going to go ahead and show you why I think it's the oil pan. So up under here we have I already cleaned it up some, but I've already driven I think another 100 miles total, so it's gotten a little bit back on there. You see this is all wet with oil, and I'm gonna get here with the oil pan. I think I'm probably gonna have to get the light. Okay, got the light up under here, but you can see that there is oil all coated on here. That's why I thought it was going to be the oil or the oil filter, but I could not get that to turn. I did clean off the bottom, and I checked it like 50 miles later. It actually was still dry, but you know, this is still getting wet. And then 100 miles later, you can see it's gotten a little bit, but it's because this seal is broken and it's coming out right here. So it's spattering off onto the oil filter, and then it's also running all the way down the oil pan. And you can also look up in there and you can see, I don't know if you can see it with the light, but you can see that stuff is kind of pushing through. So I think it's just maybe the oil pan, so I'm going to change that out. I'm going to first talk you guys through it, tell you what I'm going to be doing before I do it. So the first thing I'm going to do is drain the oil, which will be right here, and then probably remove the filter. And the next thing is I'm going to unbolt these two bolts and these two to drop this bar right here, right there on the bottom, and that's just going to make it easier for this to drop out of there. And then there's bolts all the way around this right here, and it needs to be taken off to get to the oil pan bolts on the front. So once that's off, you can get to the oil pan, and then it's just going to be undoing all the oil pan bolts all the way around it, and then that oil pan will drop out of there. You're gonna have to probably pry at it a little bit. Up and back here in the back, you got the transmission here. There's a transmission support bar right here, And there's 2 bolts up under here that's gonna need to be taken out. All right, I'm gonna try to make it easier for you guys to find these 3 bolts. You can see the oil pans there. You got this differential. And then right above it, there's this bracket that goes all the way back to the transmission and up and hooks to the engine. So there's those 3 bolts right there that need to be coming out. This one, and this one. All 3 of those need to come out. So we're going up to right to these bolts right there. This one and that one. The bottom one we're going to take completely out, even the bolt. The top one we're going to take the nut off and just leave it on the end because it'll raise up. And then on the other side, those bolts are right here, and we're going to do the same thing. Take this one all the way out and then just leave this one where the nut is just staying on the end. Okay, I did raise my truck up and put it on some jack stands just so I could get under here on my creeper and make it easier to move around. First thing I'm going to do is just get some of that out of those threads because it'll make it come off a little easier. So I'm just going to wire brush those real quick. Gonna get a 9/16 to fit on there, so gotta keep on looking, and was able to get a 16 millimeter on there. That's what I'm gonna do here. So a 16 millimeter on the back side. Now we're going to go do the other side. Might need a bigger hammer. Now we got the slider out of there. Start swapping back and forth, getting both sides down. It's like a little bit easier. You see, mine even has a little rust ate through right there, but it's not super bad, so I'm going to be putting it back up in there. May have to replace that bar. Alright, got that little cross member off of there. Yeah, it's still not too bad, but you can see the rust starting to go through right there. But the rest of it is pretty good. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and remove that bolt, that bolt, that bolt, this bolt, that one, and all the way around that one, and that one. And that piece will come out of there so we can get up to the bolts on the oil pan. I was able to get a 15mm to fit these pretty snug. guys it, since I am running into that problem. This bolt not being able to get my socket on that head. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and get a wrench and turn that out by a wrench. Okay, I wasn't able to get the impact socket on there, but I'm able to get this smaller socket on, so. Slides down like so. Okay, let you guys see the bolts that we can get to. So that's why that has to be removed, and then also lets the pan drop out of there. So that's what that piece looks like, and it pretty much keeps anything from getting up in there to the flywheel. Now going to drain the oil. And I'm going to take all the bolts off around the oil pan. And that's a 10mm bolt or socket. On the driver's side, there's a little thing right there that's holding that wire in place. Just pulls off of there. And then on this side, there's this hanging on that one with the two transmission lines that yanks off of there. Yeah, just opened right up that time. I couldn't get it this whole time. Yeah, it comes off like that. Get a lot smaller than that. This one's a little harder to do because it doesn't have much room in there. Since this is a four-wheel drive one, I'm gonna have to find a way to get in there to get to that one. It's right up in there, so I'll figure it out. And on this one there's another wire one right there that needs to be plugged off right there. Pull that out of there. Alright guys, there's nowhere I can really put you guys so I can get up in here and get the rest of the bolts out and let you guys see. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that without recording, but those are also really hard to get to because you got to get up in there. You have all this stuff in your way. So some of those I'm going to be coming on the other side of this. Just keep on working at it. Alright, on this one, I just took my hands, put it on this side, put this one on this side, and I'm just going to pull it down. Again, I don't have any way to really show you how to do it. I'd like nowhere to put you. Half of this stuff isn't metal anymore for it to stick to, but it just pops off of there and it will be in your way, so I'll have to figure something out on how to move it over, because I don't know what I'm gonna do, because I have this in my way, the four-wheel drive system. So a lot of people are doing this without this four-wheel drive system, and I'm doing it with it in my way, so I gotta figure out how to get that down. I might just pull it down like that. And when I drop it, I might be able to just move it over, but I don't know. Okay, that one in there was a little hard to get to. What I ended up doing is getting a shorter 10mm, and I came in from this side, and I had both hands up, one hand on this side and then this ratcheting hand up on this side, and I was able to get it in there like so and get it on there, pop it loose, and then I'm able to turn the rest with my hands, which I'm taking two hands up there to turn it now. Thought I'd mention that because you guys may have problems getting that one out of there. Alright, that one, I already have it loose. I was able to get a ratchet with this up in there, put it up in there, fill it with my finger to slide it up on there. I was able to get a couple turns, and then now I can turn it with my finger. And those three, I got a light up in there where I can see it now. One here, one in the middle, and one over there. I'm just gonna get my ratchet in there and just get it on there like that. Ratchet off, move over, and then move over. Get all those three out, and then that'll be all my bolts out of the pan. Alright, I got all the nuts out of there. And now I'm gonna start trying to pry it off. I'm gonna try to do it on the passenger side first over here. I think it might be easier to get it broken loose, because that end has all this. You got the four-wheel drive system, and then you got the power steering system right there that's in your way. So if I can get this started and give me some leeway, then I can work myself around. But yeah, the four-wheel drive system makes it a lot harder to get up in there. So it's hard to get this started, but I just squeezed this in here. Can't really hit it with a hammer too much because there's a frame here, so I'm putting it in a sideways motion and hitting it in slowly. Got it in there, and now I'm just going to keep on wedging it in there, keep on doing it slowly until it starts coming loose. I don't really have any place to put you for you to watch, but I wanted to show. Alright, how I got this started, because it's kind of hard at first. But you just take this and a hammer and just kind of hit it in, readjust it, hit it in, pull it out, readjust it, keep on hitting it in as you work your way across. And then once I got it in here, I just kept on hitting it. And then when I got it here, I just kind of readjusted it like that, and then just hit it with the hammer until I got all the way up to the front. So I did that all the way through there, just kept on hitting it with the hammer. And you got to watch out when it gets over here to these lines. So I had to take it and tap it farther in right there so it didn't hit those lines, and kept on hitting it on over. And I got this whole side done, and now it's pretty much popping off. So I think I'm going to be able to keep on working on it. I also came back over here and stuck it in like that and hit it in. So now you can see I kind of got it where I can now finally pry on it. And I'm going to be able to work it loose. You can see I got it up there. So just keep on working at it and it'll start coming off of there. Thought I'd show this just in case you guys run into this problem. On this side, I got between the pan and the actual gasket seal kit. So it came off fine. Got over here. I was trying to still work it between that and the seal, but apparently I got on the other side of it, so now it's not coming out because this side has on that seal. So now I'm going back in, and you can see that the pan is away from that, but the little kit inside there is stuck to the pan, so it's not coming out of there. So now I'm going back in and wedging this between that seal. I'm gonna have to redo this whole side, but it is easier now at least. But I thought I'd show that you do have to be between the pan and that seal. Since we're working on a four-wheel drive system, this whole front four-wheel drive is in our way. I got the oil pan all unbolted. I got the lines above the oil pan and it's not dropping out. You can see that I have a good 2 inches that the transmission needs to be moved up. So we're gonna have to take out the bolts that holds the engine too. So there's motor mounts on each side. Those are gonna have to be loosened up. And back here on the back, we got the transmission here. There's a transmission support bar right here, and there's 2 bolts up under here that's going to need to be taken out. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those. Okay, I was able to get a 15 millimeter to fit down on there. Alright, I'm going to try to make it easier for you guys to find these 3 bolts. Well, you can see the oil pans there. You got this differential. And then right above it, there's this bracket that goes all the way back to the transmission and up and hooks to the engine. So there's those 3 bolts right there that need to be coming out. This one, and this one. All 3 of those need to come out. And I am going to be using my impact, an extension, a swivel, and an 18 millimeter. Try and break that loose with a breaker bar. Looks like you guys can see there. Just coming in here, got this extendable breaker bar. Gonna take a little bit more time, but getting it to turn. All right, now we gotta take the motor mount bolts out. So we got the oil pan here. We just took out these 3 bolts. So we're going up to right to these bolts right there. This one and that one. The bottom one we're gonna take completely out, even the bolt. The top one, we're gonna take the nut off and just leave it on the end because it'll raise up. And then on the other side, those bolts are right here. And we're gonna do the same thing. Take this one all the way out and then just leave this one where the nut is just staying on the end. And you can see there's not much room in there, so it's gonna be hard for me to record where you guys can actually see it and have my light in there. But I am going, they're 18 millimeter, and I'm gonna just attempt to use my impact again, and hopefully it works. And otherwise I'll be stuck using this again. Yeah, so you can't see because of this. Can you guys see? Yeah. All right, I found you guys a room so you guys can actually see. That one might just be spinning. I'm gonna get on the other side and see if there's actually a nut, if it's welded or not. It actually is a nut, so I might have to get something on the back side here and hold that tight. See the little slot underneath this bolt, so that's why it doesn't need to come out. I also thought I would mention that the back side I had to hold it with that extension and a socket, and trying to hold both sides as I'm ratcheting, the back side kept on falling off, and it had fell, and the socket didn't fall down here on the ground, so I thought it was up there somewhere. And I spent probably about a half an hour searching for it all over, from the top, from the sides. Couldn't possibly be anywhere. And it had rolled way over there by that crowbar. And that's where the other sockets are, so I didn't think it was that. And I finally picked it up and decided to see if it was it, and it was it. I was getting ready to get frustrated over it. So you guys are still probably gonna have that stuff. But overall, so far, everything has been coming apart pretty easily. I go ahead and mention, I've been coming down here for about 3 hours a day, and this is day 3. So I'll give you the time frame of how long it's going to take. So I think it's going to go back together faster than it's coming apart, hopefully. But yeah, now I'm just going to get a jack in here, right here, and put a block under it and raise it up a couple inches and pull that pan out. The back half of the engine is going up, or the tranny is going up, but it doesn't look like the front is going up too much. So I might have to get it closer there and figure out a way to get it to hold up so I can get that pan out. As you can see back here, it came up pretty good, but I don't think the front has came up that far. Move it a little forward, right there, and see if it makes a big difference on that little inch difference. You can see how I got the back of the transmission to go up pretty good, but my issue is I think the front isn't, because right up there you can see the motor mounts and they didn't move much. So I think I'm going to get another jack and try to put it on the front somewhere and see if I can jack up that engine just a little bit too. Alright, I couldn't find anywhere to get onto the engine, so I used the jack. And I had to get something skinny enough to get up there, so I used a 2x4, and I was able to get up on that. Right there, jacked it up, and I felt it go up quite a bit, and you can see it over here. Motor mount moved up, kind of opened up, so hopefully I'll have enough room now. Pretty damn close, so I think I'm gonna have to go up another 1.5 inches. Alright, I got the front of the engine jacked up, and I have enough clearance to get it to slide out, but now I got this in my way. I have that front jack in there, kind of sketchy, but I don't know if I can release this now and get it out of there, but that's what I'm gonna try to do. Do it slowly. Yeah, so I just got it down the front. And I'm gonna have to go up just a hair in the front. So I'm gonna go do that, and I think we're gonna be sliding it out of there good. I have to go up just a little bit more with it, but I got it clearing it now. Just a little bit more maybe. It's out. Let you guys see what it looks like up in here. See, I need to clean that out, so I'm going to be doing that. And you can see the dipstick end is right there. So, looks like we're going to be taking out that bolt. And I think there's one up here somewhere that will be taken out. If not, yeah, there's one right there. Right on this pipe, it's on the left side. There's one right there. So, those two will come out. And like I said, I'm going to clean this out. And then that's going to fall out of there. And I'll be replacing it and then cleaning all that up. Able to get a 13mm to fit on this. Also having it where this big one isn't fitting in there, so I'm just going to grab a smaller one. Front one's actually a nut, or I mean a screw. Got it come out of there. Good. Take this out. Okay, get that out of here. Let you guys look up there and see what it looks like now. Now we're just gonna clean that up and put it all back together. Clean one and go over it again. Probably be going over it a couple of times. Okay, there is a few spots, so I'm gonna have to come in here and scrape a little bit. Oh yeah, I can see it now. So I got it cleaned up, but I'm gonna have to come in here and scrape a lot of this stuff off. See, that looks like factory sealant. So I'm probably gonna put it back in there. I know I said don't use any, you don't have to use any sealant, but you can clearly see they used some right here, right here, right here, and right here. So I am going to be putting sealant back in those spots, just because it's like that's where they did it before. I'm gonna also clean up this stuff a little bit smoother. Alright, I cleaned up the pan itself. You can see all the crud that was down in here, down in right around that area. And then I took a razor blade and went around this and scraped off the few little pieces or still stuck on there. I'm just gonna do it up in here with the razor blade and just kind of go along it and get it as smooth as I can. Doesn't have to be perfect, but definitely want those. Okay, I think it's looking good. Do another wipe down. Now I'm ready to put that seal gasket back in there. And this seal, you can see there's a spot here, spot here, spot here, spot here, and on the other side, same thing. So that's where I'm gonna put my sealant. My kit came with some, so that's where I'm gonna put it. Go ahead and swap out that seal so I don't forget it. And I'm going to go ahead and stick those up in it. And again, it's going to be on the 4 corners. The corners will be the last bolts that I'll be putting in. I'll go ahead and screw those up in there. Okay, this corner and this corner are kind of too close to this. I think it's going to be hard for me to get that stuff up in there, so I'm going to just go one in, which will be fine, because once I get to this bolt, I already have several in on each side that I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue. They just screw in there like so. I'm going to put them in here and put them up in the top. And I may not be able to do the oil pan, but at least I'll get that seal in here and get it where it needs to be, and then get that suction tube in here. And then I'll probably take these back out because I don't think that type of a fit is gonna let me get that pan back in here. So I'm just gonna use these just for that seal. So I'm gonna put these probably right here or right there. And when I get this up in there, before I put the pan on, I'll squirt those on the bottom. Pins lined up. There we go. Smush it up in there. Oh yeah, that's like right on. Honestly, that feels like it's like locked in place pretty good. So now we're gonna put our suction tube back in there. Got that part done. I'm gonna try to leave those on there, just see if it'll go in there like that, but we'll see. Those ones out of the front. So I can get it if I need them. Very front. Just think. I don't really know if I need it. There we go. Get those lines in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and stick this one back up in the front. Hands are now too oily to even turn those, so I think I might just get out and get some bolts. But it was enough to hold it in place. And I'm just gonna put these all in loose, hand tight, kind of, and then I'll be torquing them down from the center of the pan, swapping back and forth all the way around. But for now, I'm just putting them in loosely. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and lower this back down now, just so I can get my thing where I need to be. Okay, I lowered the front first, lowered the back. The reason I thought I'd show this is because mine stayed up here a little bit, so I had to jack it back up and pull it over a little bit. It didn't take much, and it fell into the grooves. This is seated. Now we're probably gonna have to mess with the motor mounts and get them to seat right. Well, it looks like they fell in place, so I think we're gonna be good. Sweet. You're tightening these up Some of them you're not going to be able to get your torque wrench on there, so you're going to have to get an idea of the torque pressure that you're going to be putting on some of the other ones, and then try to apply the same on the ones you can't reach with it. Guys, I ended up having a little bit of issues with my ratchet that had a torque on it, and I couldn't get it to work, so I went ahead and hand tightened mine on down. I don't recommend this, but if you do, just keep in mind that if you over torque it, you're going to strip those holes. You definitely don't want to do that. So I got it snug and just gave it a little turn past that. I think it's all good. I didn't have any stripped out, but if you guys are worried about that, you guys go ahead and use a torque wrench and snug them down. Alright, all you have left to do is put all this stuff back together. It goes pretty simple. Just do it all back in reverse order. Put those bolts in, tighten them up. Went pretty simple for me. Didn't take too much long as it did taking it off. And you guys are good to go. Let me know if this video helped you guys. Also wanted to point out that the check engine light had came off for me and has not came back on. So that's pretty sweet. See you guys later.